Okay, good morning. Okay, so we're starting Shin Mem Vov this morning. Dinei Erevin Min HaTorah. So what is the story? Where can you carry, where can you not carry Min HaTorah? Says the Mechaber Seif Aleph. Min HaTorah ein chayev ele b'moitzi machnes v'zorek u'moishit mishus hayochid l'shus harabim or mishus harabim l'shus hayochid. From the Torah, you're only going to be chayev for the melacha of HaTorah if you are moitzi machnes, you bring in and you take out, or you bring in, or your zorek you throw, or moishas, or you pass from a rishus hayochid to rishus harabim, or vice versa from rishus harabim to rishus hayochid. The Chachamim asru mekarmelis rishus hayochid. The Chachamim extended that and said that you can't carry from a karmelis to rishus hayochid, or rishus harabim, or from a karmelis to rishus harabim, I mehem the karmelis, or from one of those two, from rishus hayochid to rishus harabim to a karmelis. That is also midrabanan. Aval makom patur mutar lahitzi v'lahachnis mimenu l'rishus hayochid l'rishus harabim. But you can carry from a makom patur to either a rishus hayochid or rishus harabim, or mehem l'soiche, or from them the rishus hayochid or rishus harabim to a makom patur. Aval ha'emed b'rishus hayochid. But if someone is standing in a rishus hayochid, or moitzi or machnis, and he takes out or brings in, or meshit v'zerech, or passes or throws l'rishus harabim into rishus harabim derech makom patur ibcha, by way of a makom patur, then he would be chayev. Okay, let's do the Mishnah Berurah till there. Moishit. What does moishit mean? Passing. Hainu shegufay omed b'rishus echad. His body is standing in one rishus. Or moishit, and he's sort of passing over biyado with his hand hachefetz l'rishus acher. V'ayin lekaman b'siman shin mem zayin b'Mishnah Berurah seif katan ches le'inyan moishit b'rishus hayochid l'rishus hayochid derech rishus harabim. Regarding passing from one rishus hayochid to a rishus hayochid via a rishus harabim. Okay, there, if you're looking for note 1, he makes a distinction between if the two rishus hayochids are next to each other and the rishus harabim is sort of on the road opposite them. That would be okay. Then Haru Chayev. But if you've got shtei rishus hayochids which are opposite to each other with the rishus harabim mafsik beinehem, then that would be potter. Okay, but that will get there in Mr. Hashem. Okay, Sif Cotton base. So again, what have we said? The Mechaber has started off by said you're only going to be chayev min HaTorah for carrying if you go from a rishus hayochid or rishus harabim from one to the other. But if you go from a rishus hayochid or rabim to a karmelis, that is also midrabanan. The Chachamim aser it. Now, why did the Chachamim aser it? So it says in Mishnah Berurah, Sif Cotton base, to who dom yiksas l'rishus harabim. Because Chazal appreciated that a karmelis is somewhat similar to a rishus harabim, she'ein mechitzas, because it hasn't got mechitzas, or mikal mokum, and therefore that would render it a bit like a rishus hayochid, or mikal mokum ein a rishus harabim, but it's not a proper rishus harabim, the lav lehilucha the rabim avida, because it's not meant for public trespass. V'lochein gozru olav chachomim, and therefore they treat it like a quasi rishus harabim. V'lo gozru olav chachomim shlo lahitzi v'lahachnes mimenu or bein rishus harabim bein rishus hayochid, and therefore Chazal prohibited going from a karmelis to either a rishus hayochid or rishus harabim, kedei shelo yavo lahatzi af rishus hayochid rishus harabim, so that they shouldn't come to carry from a rishus hayochid to a rishus harabim. Okay, and then we said, but when it comes to a makom patur, which is hasn't got daled al daled tefachim, and it's between 3 and 9 tefachim high, then you're allowed to carry from there to rishus hayochid or to rishus harabim. Says Mishnah Berurah, Sif Cotton Gimel, v'hu adin laheshiv v'lizrek, and so too to pass something over or to throw from a makom patur into either rishus hayochid or rabim or the other way around. Avol ha'omed. But then we said, if you're standing in avol ha'omed b'rishus hayochid, but if you're standing in rishus hayochid and you're being moitzi or machnis or moishel to zurek to rishus harabim derech makom patur, then chayev. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Sif Cotton Daled, I think Daled. Avlo Omed Rotzolem Shaya Omed. He's standing in the rishus hayochid v'halach v'hitzi hayichnis, and then he goes and takes Aishanisha Omed El Shahishit Ozarek, or either he brings something in, or he actually just passes it over or throws. Then he's going to be chayev. To kivin she'osa akira b'rishus hayochid v'hanochel rishus harabim, because at the end of the day, he's doing an akira, he's lifting something up from a rishus hayochid, for example, and he places it down in rishus harabim. Therefore, all the way around, we're not concerned. The fact that it goes via a mokum patur is not really bothering us. Is irrelevant because he's done. Therefore, we consider him to be chayiv. That's only if he didn't stop in the mokum patur. But if he stopped, ma'at sham potter. But if he goes, let's say, from Rosh Hashanah and he stops in the mokum patur, and then he carries on and goes to Rosh Hashanah, then he'll be potter min HaTorah at least. Because there was a hanocha, he paused in the mokum patur. And if you look at footnote 4, he says, important point, v'dafke im omad lofush, if he stopped to relax, or to get a breather, or for some other reason, which is preventing him from going on. But if he stopped just to readjust the package on his shoulder or whatever it was, so it's easier for him to carry, then we're going to say further on in Shin Mem Tes, that's as if he's still walking, and therefore he'll be chayiv. And nevertheless, if he goes, let's say, from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah, derech mokum patur, and then there's still, although there's no issa deraisa, but there still would be an issa drabanan. Because we're worried he might come to carry directly mishus hayochid l'Rosh Hashanah, directly from one to the other. Okay, so what have we said so far? In Shin Mem Hey and Sif Aleph, so far we have said that min HaTorah yochai for if you take something from a Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah or vice versa, but and that is whether you're motzi or machnis or zerek or moshit, whether you bring in, you take out, you throw, you pass, any of those actions from a Rosh Hashanah to Rabbim or vice versa, you're going to be also there's a chayiv min HaTorah. The Chachamim extended that to a Carmelis because a Carmelis is not a Rosh Hashanah, it's not a Rosh Hashanah. On one hand, it's got mechitzas. It hasn't got mechitzas, so therefore it's a bit similar to Rosh Hashanah. But on the other hand, it's not really Rosh Hashanah because it's not really Rosh Hashanah. Because it hasn't got Hiluch Rabbim. There's not thousands of people walking through it. So therefore, it's a quasi-status, and therefore Chazal asked it because you might come to confuse to carry from Rosh Hashanah, let's say, to a Yochid or vice versa. However, Mokum Patur, that is actually allowed to go from this little Mokum Patur, which is less than 4x4 Tvachim and between 3 and 9 Tvachim high. That would actually be allowed to go from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah. However, that's only. But if you, so that's if you're going from Mokum Patur to one of those Rishuyas. Good. So that's the story so far. Now let's carry on the Mechaba with the bottom line. V'chein lo ya'amod adam mokum patur, and so too a person should not stand on a mokum patur. V'yikach chayfetz miyad misha'omed b'Rosh Hashanah. He shouldn't stand on a mokum patur and take a chayfetz from someone standing in Rosh Hashanah. If he's like acting as a postman. So let's say you're, for example, in the Rosh Hashanah, and I'm collecting that item from you, and I'm on a mokum patur, and then I give it to someone in Rosh Hashanah. I'm just transferring. I'm facilitating the transfer from the rabbin to the yochid. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Sif Kotten Vav, v'chein lo yamod, hay v'chein lav dafka, t'chiyu v'leka b'zed, given shehu ba'atzma omed v'noyach mokum patur. It's not an issa deraisa, but it's still not allowed. Miyad shegiya hachefetz negdoi naaseh k'mo sheniach shomat. It's as if it stopped there for a little bit. V'nokot v'chein mishum isura. It tells me v'chein as in it's not allowed. Mishum dal kol ponim naaseh al yadoi haitzos mishum yochid l'sharabim. You have facilitated this transfer from a yochid to rabbim. V'osi l'akuli l'hoitzim mishum yochid l'sharabim leheja, and you might come to do it directly, which of course is nista Torah. V'yikach chayfetz miyad. And so too, to place it from the ground of a yochid to a rabbim, that is not allowed. Okay, then let's just finish off the Ramah, the Sif Aleph. To switch from a mokum patur in a drabonon dika rishuya is yesh oisrim v'yesh matirin v'ayin lekamen shin ayin beis ivov. So what does that mean? Says the Mishnah Berurah Sif Kotten Ches ulahachlif rotzaloima she'omed al mokum patur. A guy is standing on a mokum patur. V'noitel miyad misha omid b'rishus hayachid, and he's taking it from the rishus hayachid, v'noisen liyad ha'omid b'karmelis, and now he passes it to somebody who's in a karmelis, or vice versa. V'adinim noitzeh lachayv b'rishus hayachid u'manicha b'makom p'tur, v'chayzu noitzeh b'makom p'tur manicha b'karmelis. Then two opinions. Yesha Yisrim, Svir Luhu, De'ein L'chalek, Ben Rishus Rais, Rishus Rabbanon, in Zeh. Just like it's certainly also to do in the Rishus Rabbim, to take it from a Yochid via the Makom P'tur to the Rishus Rabbim, let's say. So too, from the Yochid through the Makom P'tur to the Karmelis is also not allowed. V'yesh Matirin, Svir Luhu, the Dafka B'Rishus Rais Gazrinon. Masha'en came B'Rishus Rabbanon, to having Gezer L'Gezera, that would be okay. So that's Seif Aleph. Good. Sif base. Min HaTorah, ein chayev ele b'ma'aver arba amas rishus rabim. A person is only chayev if they transport something 4 amas in a rishus rabim. The Chachamim osru lahaver arba amas b'karmelis. And the Chachamim extended that to carrying something 4 amas in a karmelis. V'yom in a sea or bika or a valley. Trei gavni karmelis ninu. They're considered 2 types of karmelis, but to go from a yam to a bika, which is just 2 types of karmelis, within dalad amas, that would be okay. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Hainu al yedei akira v'hanocha v'israbonon ikka al yedei akira v'hanocha levad. So to go from a yochid to a karmelis, or from a karmelis to a yochid, or something like that, ikka al yedei akira v'hanocha levad, then that would be also midrabanon. So long as there is an akira, b'ma'aver arba amas, to go 4 amas in a karmelis would be also. And then the Mechaber carried on and said, v'chachomim osru lahaver arba amas b'karmelis. V'yam bika v'trei gavni karmelis is going from one to the other would be okay. Now says the Mishnah Berurah again, Yud Aleph, Hainu al yidei akira v'hanocha. When is it also to carry 4 amas in the karmelis? When you do the akira and the anocha, that means you lift it up.
That's common,
yeah, b'ma'aver arba amas. This is Yud Aleph. Yeah, this is an Issa.
This isn't Teraisa.
You're right. Sorry. Min HaTorah ein chayev ele b'ma'aver arba amas rishus rabim. Right, and you've done an akira and hanocha, which means you've picked it up, you've walked dalad amas, and then you've placed it down. Then that's an Issa Torah. Hainu al yidei akira v'hanocha, says Mishnah Berurah. But if you do one of those things, then that would be osmid rabbanon chud lekam b'siman shin mem zayin. Now that's very relevant, by the way, when the delivery guy comes along on Shabbos and he's done, he's picked it up and he's delivering it to you and he wants to give it to you. So you're doing the hanocha, you're placing it down. So therefore, even though it's not an issa deraisa, you're doing one of the elements of the crime. So therefore, that's why we tell the delivery guy, can you just please put it in the corner there? Because you shouldn't do any of the, even midrabanan, you shouldn't do any of the elements of either just the hanocha or just the akira. That's exactly this point. Sorry? Yeah. Yeah,
because it's like a shusarab.
Yeah. But karmelis. So says the Mishnah Berurah Yud Beis, v'hu adin, v'hu dumya d'shurab mechanal, v'ayin lekam b'siman shin memtes, if hey Mishnah Berurah sham. Trei gavin, but to go from 2 types of karmelis, let's say from a yam to a bika, then we said that would be mutter within dalad amas. Rotzolema da'afa pikein mutter letaltem mezulazu v'loy gozer mishum rishus. Seder. Okay, now let's just begin Gimel. Karpov. Now, what is a karpov? Pirush mokum shemukav mechitzas. It's an enclosure which is surrounded by mechitzas, below kiru, without a roof, k'moy chotzer, like a chotzer. Yosem beis hosayim shelo hukav l'dir, and it's more than a beis hosayim. Ostru chachom letaltel boy. You can't carry in this enclosure, let's say like a field or something like that. Ela toich arba amas. You can only carry dalad amas. Umutzah lehoitzi mimenu lekarmelis acher kagoin bika veres lefonov. You can go from it to another karmelis which is passing through it. Okay, let's just do the Mishnah Berurah on that. Yosem beis hosayim. So you can't carry in like a big field, a big enclosure, karpov. Now how big is it? Yosem beis hosayim. And what is that? V'shir beis hosayim avur lekam b'siman shinun ches. Shehu shivim amma v'arba'a tfachim al shivim amma v'arba'a tfachim b'ribua. It's 70 and a bit ammas squared. Now, how much is an amma? So an amma is between 1.5 and 2 feet, or approximately half a meter. So imagine you've got 35 meters by 35 meters. It's quite a big area, right? It's quite a big area. Says the Mishnah Berurah, is not there for residential use, but you're going to plant there or something like that. So let's say a big field, a large field. You can't carry more than daladamas. Shekivin shehu gadol kol kach, because it's so large. Also, you might come to confuse it with the Rosh Hashanah. Chachamim gave it the din of a karmelis. However, you are allowed, says the Mechaber, to carry from it into a karmelis. For example, if there was a bika, a veres lefonov, that would be allowed. Says the Mishnah Berurah Yud Zayin, after Minat Torah hu Rishus HaYochid lechol davar, even though Minat Torah really has the status of Rishus HaYochid, kim sheyesh lo mechitzas, because it's surrounded by fences, v'hazoring metochel Rishus Harabim chayev, and therefore if you throw from it into a Rishus Harabim you're chayev, or Rishus HaYochid lekarmelis halo also lahaitzi, and therefore carrying from it from Rishus HaYochid into a karmelis is also midrabanon. Mikol mokum kanitira. Here they allowed it. Now why? Very interesting svara. She'im ne'asazeh, if they forbade you to carry from this karpuf, this large enclosure, to a karmelis, yisperu shehu Rishus HaYochid gomer. People would think, hey, the karpuf has got a proper status of Rishus HaYochid, ve'ein shem karmelis olav klal, and hasn't got the status of a karmelis whatsoever. And people might carry in the entire area, the entire karpuf, as if it was a Rosh Yochid. And people might come to carry also in Rosh Hashanah, because it's they can say, hey, I can carry in that field. It was very similar to Rosh Hashanah. I can also carry in Rosh Hashanah because it's very large. It's not mukaf l'dira. No one's living there. And therefore, Valkei Noston of Chachomim Din Shar Karmelis Linzeh, and therefore Chazal gave it a din of a Karmelis, Shemutu Lahitzi Menu Karmelis, you're allowed to carry from it into a Karmelis, Ache into another Karmelis, could go in Bika V'chiyotzi Bezeh, like a Bika or something like it. So it's like the Chazal were worried that you might forget and think it's like a proper Rosh Hashanah, Rosh Hashanah, etc. Okay, so there we go. We'll leave it there because the rest of Gimel goes on for a bit. Please God, we'll do that tomorrow. Okay.